Well, sometimes we can make little mistakes like forgetting to press the unmute button when the stream begins, so just assume that I've said everything you expect to hear over the last couple of minutes, like commentating that hand, talking about Charles' size, experience, and ability to still take the spots despite having a shorter stack, like King 8-0 on the button against the blinds, but facing resistance from Grace, who started as the short stack. And we'll need a few more of those little chip-ups, but happy with that start. And I'll work backwards. Welcome, everyone, to our live stream final table coverage from Southport Sharks for the 2026 APL Million. We are here for the final 9 of the Genesis, the first ever edition of this event, newly added to this APL Million schedule, and what a debut it's been. 1,372 entries, $411,600 up for grabs for our top 153 who were in the money. We started the day with 231 survivors, and we are now down to our top 9. Everyone here has secured themselves at least $6,500, $6,585 to be exact. But that top prize, $82,340, sitting and awaiting an eventual champion. And those numbers scrolling at the bottom of your screen show that there's plenty more on offer, even to finish second or third, 50K, 30K respectively. More than healthy for an event that cost us $360 to enter. I'll be handing over shortly to Jackson Young, who's going to pop in and out, but he'll stay with you for the time being. For those that don't know, Jordan Bromley, our usual commentator, resting a sore throat at the moment. Hopefully he gets his voice back very soon, because we have a packed live stream schedule ahead with only bigger things to come for this 2026 APL Million. So, Jackson, welcome. How are you?
Good, mate. Good. Glad to be here. Don't have any headphones at the moment, but that's all right.
I can manage without.
I'm just trolling you, mate. Nah, good. Happy to be back. Great final table by the looks of it, with some notables and some ones I haven't seen before. So it should be fun to shake it up as we see a bid with the Ace King, obviously such a premium hand, and I would assume going to get this one through. Just a really nice spot to find the 3-bet as he does. Does go with the smaller size as well, and does get it through. Alan not peeling the 10-9 suited, which is quite standard to fold that one. So him and Erwin are sitting upon 10 million chips each. Good for our chip leaders of this final table, and by the looks of it, only really 1, maybe 2 short stacks. No one in that sub 10 big blind range, which was my potential concern, but it looks like everyone has enough chips to play, which is always fun on a final table. Obviously seeing some people, combat with all-ins and stuff is fun, but when people can sort of maneuver post-flop and maybe some 3-bets and 4-bets pre-flop as well, can make for some really interesting analysis and play. So, yeah, pretty keen to see how everyone sort of wants to approach this FT. Are they trying to find pay jumps, or are they just going to go for the win? And we do see the Jack-10 suited call and open from Alan, really getting out there with the 5-4 suited, which is probably fine as the chip leader. It is frustrating for him that Erwin is sort of across the table from him, which means that he can't put as much pressure on that as he'd probably like. But we do see Grace Mitchell find the pocket 9s and just go all in. This is pretty frustrating for both Alan and Maris, because they've both now had to open or call and now fold 2 hands in a row. She has all in for 11 big blinds, 2.7 million as well. So not an attractive price for the Jack-10 suited, as it does elect to fold, and Grace picks up a nice pot now, sitting at 17 big blinds. So she's pretty much almost double test stack just from that open call and then her jam getting through. So she's going to be one to look out for. If anyone's in the comments rooting for certain people, put your comments in there. I'm sure they'd appreciate the love. And yes, it is the final table for those asking in the YouTube comments. This is the final table of the Genesis, $82,000 for first, which is just unbelievable for a $300 tournament, let's be honest. So Morris does now pick up the King, Queen of Spades and does elect to open this one under the gun. He does go for a million chips, which is 4 big blinds, which is obviously extremely big of a raise. I think this one's going to get through at a very, very, very high frequency, as it does. Alan peeling the 6 high, no good. So going to get this one through. And he chips up to 20 big blinds as well. So you can see our stacks there. Charles side, our shortest stack with 3.65 million, good for 15 big blinds. So it's going to be interesting to see how these middling stacks sort of approach this final table. I think there's 2 trains of thought and 2 schools of thought with this is, do they want to sort of play a bit passive and let the short stacks behind them bust, like Anthony, Sammy, in this like 25 big blindish range, and do they want to just let the big stacks sort of take out the small stacks, or do they want to try ladder up themselves and knock the shorties out or try build a stack? Obviously both ways you can go about it. Obviously depends on your card distribution as well. As we see Alan pick up the 7-5 of clubs in the small blind, interested to see what he does here. It does look like he's come with raise. The 7-5 offsuit, my bad. And does make it 3 big blinds. I think if he's identifying his opponent as a bit on the tighter side, I think he's going to be able to isolate this blind v blind quite wide, which is obviously a very, very good spot to be in. Anytime that you can win 2 big blinds is just such a print. So he's going to be having a pretty fun day if he can pick up a lot of pots BVB. But we do see 3 chip leaders basically with the exact same amount of chips, which is not something I've seen very often. So it's going to make for an interesting dynamic. Are those 3 going to battle it out and sort of ego it out, or are they going to sort of, whoever enters the pot, they're just going to let them sort of do the one and be the one to combat the short stacks? Grace Mitchell with the ace-5 off does bin that one, which is a nice laydown.
So, Chris here again, about to leave you in the more than capable hands, or should I say, voice and analysis of Jackson. Show him some love in the comments. I'll get back to getting those final tables and winners up on our Facebook page. Again, show your support in the comments as Jackson hopes to talk you through to a winner. Feed him some questions and show your support for the players on your screen as well. Tell us who you think's going to win. Tell us who you want to win. And I'll get back to my desk. Thank you so much, Jackson, for filling in while Jordan recovers and while I'm running around like a headless chook taking photos.
No dramas, mate.
Thanks, Jackson.
I think Jordan just wanted the day off, to be honest. Let's be honest. Sore throat. Come on, man. Joking. So yeah, the pay jumps are getting pretty absurd now. As we just saw across the screen, 8th place is $8,000 and first place is $82,000. So you've come all this way. You've pretty much beat out 1,360-ish people, and the difference between you and another 75k is just 7 more people. So it's going to really have to pick your spots well. Try not to run into it. As we see Charles pick up the pocket 10s for 15 big blinds and is going to get this one through, I would hope. Ace-4 offsuit, not a very strong hand in that position. And Charles does get that one through, so not a huge amount of action so far. Just people picking up hands and going all in, and then that's sort of it. No one really being able to combat much of the raises at the moment, which is quite standard on a final table. As we all know, playing poker, it's pretty hard to pick up a hand, you know what I mean? So definitely think these guys are going to wait for the fireworks to come before there's going to be a couple of bust outs. But as you can see, rolling off the screen, there's just such dramatic pay jumps moving forward. So you really want to just hit that top 3, top 4 range and give yourself a chance. Because right now, there's not like, obviously $8,000 is quite a good amount of money for a $300 tournament, but the potential you can win is just so much more. So really need to find the right spots. I've just been alluded to that the comment section I've got on my screen is different from the actual real comment section. It's the old one, so I think there's a couple of comments coming through. I think I saw one from Nathaniel that I didn't like, so I'll have to get the team to update that. As we do see, Grace Mitchell just whacked the King-Queen suited and getting that one through now. So she's definitely not the shorter stack anymore, sitting at a quite comfortable 20 big blinds. As we are getting this updated thing, I'm just on my phone right now, so I'll walk through it. Nathaniel, loving the commentary, boys. Thanks, mate. How's your series going so far, Jackson? Any deep runs? Yeah, let's not talk about that. A lot of love in the chat for Anthony. A lot of chat for Anthony. Shout out Andrew Peng, one of my fantasy pickups. Soft bubbled the first tournament, which was quite upsetting. Needs to have a deep run or he's going to get the sack, unfortunately. So I think someone mentioned in the chat, I believe it was about Grace, that this is her biggest cash so far. So always good to see someone that hasn't had that huge score yet be at a final table with a position to potentially win a lot of money. Like, someone's obviously got to do it, but winning $82,000 from just like $360 is just crazy. So hopefully it goes to a deserving winner, and yeah, it would be quite insane to be the one to hold that trophy. Anthony seems to be the crowd favorite, so hopefully a bit of a comment section run good from him. As we see Alan with the pocket queens, he's been punished the last 2 times he's opened by jams. So we're going to see now if Grace is going to pull the trigger or she just finds the fold. So unfortunately for Alan, that one's just going to get through, which is a little bit annoying when you're basically the chip leader and you've been opening a crazy amount. You finally wake up with a top hand and just goes into the bin and you only pick up the minimum. But that's okay. Any chips in your direction is obviously good. So Alan is actually been helping me out a little bit with a couple of questions I had. I'm starting to play some mixed games and that. So yeah, if I had to be biased, I'd say I'm rooting for him just for the help he's giving me. So hopefully there's some love in the chat for Alan as well. As Manda seems to be loving the poker streams. Every time I seem to be commentating, she's in the stream. So shout out to Manda. This was a tough field. I definitely agree. The caliber of players every year is getting better for sure, and you know, there's a lot of new people also joining the ranks as well. So definitely makes for some fun poker, as we see Maris with the 9-8 suited, min raising under the gun +2 off 14 big blinds, and Habib, who is not anymore the chip leader but very, very close, with a tough decision, the King-Queen offsuit. Does like to call from the cutoff. Bit of an awkward spot for him because Maris is opening up such a short stack. If he 3-bets to like 5.5 bigs, he's basically not committed to a jam, but it's kind of a bit gross. So I think I might have liked to see a 3-bet instead of a call personally, but nonetheless, he is in there with the best hand and does get the big blind to call with a dominated King X, but that is actually the one that's going to lead on this flop. So Sammy's going to flop, middle pair, backdoor flush draw. Maris with the gut shot and backdoor flush draw. Habib with a pretty easy fold on this board, and Sammy, I would assume, is going to make a pretty standard call in this spot. Not going to be ideal if our opponent starts barreling on future streets, especially on a card higher than A10. But this is the power of being the pre-flopped aggressor. As this is a pretty good card for Sammy, I assume this is going to go... Yeah, I said this is going to go check quite a fair bit. And I think Sammy now, I guess, is trying to target ace high. Does go with 1.3 million, so about a third pot. I'm not exactly... I mean, I'm sure it's fine. I think, as I mentioned sort of previously, if you guys were listening, I think when these players snap check back, it's usually a lot of weak hands, right? So with a 6, I think if I was bluffing, I would definitely want to be betting. But then with a 6, you want to go really small, really want to target like ace king, ace queen or something like that. Maybe even bet like one big blind or 2 big blinds or something absurd. If you think your opponent doesn't have the capability of, you know, bluffing rivers once they snap check back, and you're only going to get called by, say, Jack X, then you want to probably go really small. As we see Morris now with a bit of a hit to his stack, pick up the ace-9 of diamonds. This is going to be a very easy fold from Charles. Quite easy fold from Charles. Nothing you beat there. You're literally flipping at absolute best case scenario. So Liam Murray has informed me that it's a pretty much all Brisbane lineup. I'm obviously not from Brisbane, so I did not know that. So thanks for letting me know. I mean, it makes sense, I guess. It's only, like an hour drive to Gold Coast, so it makes sense that they're sort of dominating. But good to see all of them sort of make it this deep in the tournament. As we do see Sammy in the tank by the looks of it. And I think this makes... I mean, I can see that the big blind has ace-king, so... Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but I think Sammy has a pretty easy fold here. And Anthony obviously has a very, very easy call with the ace-king suited. And unfortunately for Morris, he's going to need to catch a 9 or diamonds to stay in the tournament. And Anthony's put himself in a pretty good spot here with a premium hand. So we will see 5. And Morris is looking for diamonds or one of the 3 9s. No diamonds, unfortunately. Backdoor straight draw available. Turn bringing no help, and the river needs to be one of the 3 remaining 9s, and it is not. So we will lose our first player on this final table. Unfortunately, bittersweet, obviously, so close to the top prize, but still taking home $8.2 thousand, which is not too shabby, of course. As Anthony now chipping up as well, and yeah, he is tied with our chip leader, so I'm sure everyone in the comment section is going to be pretty happy with that result. Chris has just come in and fixed my almost fixed it. Good enough. That's all right. No. All good, mate. Thanks for the I can see all the comments now, guys, so feel free to fire them in. Oscar Fong in the chat. What's up? Yeah, Anth's getting a lot of love, so he's definitely the crowd favorite, and that's potentially got him a bit of the run good, as we see Habib open up the ace-queen offsuit. Obviously, a very, very nice hand to have on this final table, especially 7-handed. It's a quick comment in the YouTube chat. David Bowen has made another final table, this time as the chip leader in the No Limit Hold'em 8 Max. I actually saw him before and he was playing heads up for the trophy, so I'm not sure if he won or if he came second, but I believe they were talking about a deal when I left. So if you've got an update or anyone has an update on that sort of stuff, yeah, feel free to let me know. As we do see a bit with the ace queen flop top pair, and it's a very unfortunate. Wow, snap check back as Alan picks up middle pair, second pair, and an open ender. Obviously, as we know, the queen's no good. That would be a disaster card. But Alan, obviously, to this size, is just going to call. And this board's getting a little bit dicey for ace queen, but no reason, I'd say, to slow down yet. Big blind has a lot of the two pairs in range. I don't think we want to go too big at all. I think anything above 1.3 million is a little bit too big. It does go 900k, which is a really nice, juicy size. And let's see if Alan can sniff this one out. Our opponent snap checked back flop. And then when the board got pretty wet on the turn, he now bet and then bet on the river. So, yeah, this is why it's hard to deduce what our opponents are doing, because we always talk about, or have talked about, how the snap check back usually is pretty weak. But it has looked like it's going to get paid off here from Alan. I don't blame him. Potentially could have even turned his hand into a bluff, which would be absolutely sick. Blocking straights, blocking two pairs, blocking sets. That could have been really juicy. I think it's too late for that now. He's sort of shrugged his shoulders, counted out calling chips, and now weighing up his options. It's one thing I kind of always do as well, is I try not to react too quickly, because something that feels like either a call or fold can maybe be turned into a raise. And if you sort of react within half a second of your opponent's bet, you sort of take that option away from yourself. I think this might be a really... If Nathaniel's still in the chat, I'm sure he would know. This might be a really cool hand to turn into a bluff. But what would I know? I think all options are on the table for Alan. A fold, a call, or a raise. And he does make a great fold, so really well played there from Alan. Unfortunately, he's now fourth in chips, but everyone, like the top five, are all pretty much even, which is kind of bizarre. I haven't seen an FT in a while where pretty much 5 of the 7 players have the exact same stack almost, so it's pretty cool. Did not know Grace had 4 big blinds before. Someone in the chat said that, so that would be a pretty cool story. If she gets one more double up, she's our chip leader, so it's anyone's game right now. So with 7 left, our players have locked up $9,055. The next pay jump will be $10,700, and then it kind of just gets absurdly big from there. 14, 21, 30, 50, 82. So it's going to make for a very interesting dynamic as Erwin opens up pocket eights and Charles in the big blind with Jack 8 offsuit. Probably want to have to, or you probably have to call this hand. You obviously, in the big blind with the big blind ante, but he does decide to pass. You may think that he just wants to be the one entering pots instead of the one calling. So it does take the passive route in that line. Obviously, would rather be suited. If he was suited, definitely continuing. But yeah, pretty sick fold from Charles. But he is now our shortest stack, so he is going to have to sort of find something eventually. However, 14 big blinds on a final table league is actually quite a lot, so he probably realized that he's got a bit of edge here and can probably take some better spots as well. As Grace is getting a lot of love in the comment section now, so it's kind of bounced from Anthony to Grace. As we see Anthony once again with Big Slick. Going to open up the ace king off. 600,000. If Alan really wanted to get loosey with it, he could be 3-betting this hand, but does elect on the pretty standard route to fold. As Habib in the big blind has definitely got a calling hand. And we have got some confirmation that David Bowen did just win the event for, I believe, 12,500. Just quickly, people are folding their big blind like absurdly tight. Queen 10 offsuit to a single open when you have 30 bigs feels like a little bit too tight to fold in my opinion, but I think these guys are sort of maybe weighing up their options and believe that other people are going to blast off and they can secure some pay jumps in other ways. But I think, I think a hand like Queen 10 offsuit or even Jack 8 is a bit too strong to fold when you have already put your ante in as well as your big blind. So, especially to a min-click open. So, interesting. But our players need to obviously adapt to this as well, knowing that if I know that the big blind's folding Queen 10 offsuit, then I can probably open range against them if I'm the button or something like that. And just hope Charles doesn't wake up with the hand. As Charles... Wow, okay. I think this is a little bit too wide from Charles, potentially. Queen 8 offsuit from the button for 14 bigs. 13 bigs. Does get it through. Maybe just has picked up on the fact that everyone is playing way too tight. And if that's the case, then I mean, that's totally fine. But I think in general sense, that's a little bit too wide. For 14, as I mentioned before, it's, pretty healthy stack, to be honest. But, Amanda, yes, it is streaming on YouTube as well. We are on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Yeah, someone just let us know Grace had 2.5 bigs. Wow. What a great spin up. As we see, Habib with the ace-jack offsuit on the button. Can't jam this because Irwin with a monster stack is in the big blind. Does open it up to 600k. Grace with a pretty easy fold, and Irwin does just select to call. Might be a little bit too crazy of me, but could think about 3-betting this one pre, but does elect to call. As Jacob is trying to get that flop out. It does look like 8-6-3 rainbow. Check, snap check back. At least Habib's pretty balanced with his snap checks because before he had top pretty much and now he's got nothing. Irwin on this board very much favors him. Has all the sets, all the 2 pairs, all the straights, and just bets his hand for protection. And on this river, I'm going to assume this one's going to go check quite a bit. And Irwin is going to take it down with a pair of 6s. So these small pots are important. And definitely happy to take them down. So Irwin does now extend by a very small margin his chip lead.
Yeah, I qualified. Qualifying hand.
As Grace has asked for everyone's name at the table. Good to get a little bit of banter or just chat at the table. I mean, obviously we're playing for a lot of money here, but it is good for at least the viewing experience to have some sort of table talk, which is good now. I think people are starting to get a little bit more loosey-goosey with their, not maybe their play, but with their vibe and just having a bit more fun with it. It is obviously very tough to make an FT, especially an FT with this many runners, but I think it's good to enjoy it even though we are playing for a lot of money. It's definitely good to enjoy it. As we do see Charles open up the pocket 6s, which is totally fine. Erwin's probably trying to think, can they have a 3-bet this hand? No. Okay, I'm going to pass. And Sammy in the big blind with a very defendable hand. We do get a 5, 7, 9 flop. I was going to say, can Sammy ever lead this flop? He probably can. I think he definitely can at some frequency lead this flop. As I said before, we have the nut advantage on these boards where there's 3 kind of middling low cards. We have 8-6 off, 8-6 suited pure. We have a lot of like 7-5 suited, 9-7 suited pure, even some of the offsuit combos as well. So not a bad hand to check call, not a bad hand to lead. As the 4 of hearts rolls off on the turn, bringing in the Badoogie, I think Charles is going to probably check this one back, unless he thinks he can get a 7th fold or something along those lines with a big bet. He doesn't have a very, like the SPR is not that big, so he doesn't have a lot of maneuverability, but he does like to check this one back and take his equity. The river rolls off the 8, which is an absolute disaster for Sammy. Now there is a 4-liner out there, obviously, so it's not like he's going to go broke, but we do have 2 pairs now. We do beat a hand like aces, but we have to think, would our opponent bet aces on this river? Probably not. So we are still bluff catching. I think Charles can go somewhere in the vicinity of 1 to 1.5 million. Does go 700, a little bit smaller than I might have gone, but does get snap called, which is obviously nice. And Charles winning a very important hand now. Gets out of that realm of being short to now, not chip leading, but, only 2 million chips behind our 3rd place currently, which is a nice spot to be in.
Probably not.
Maybe it's positive EV to just show all in the line and then go and look after your appointment. So it's positive EV.
I've been over positive EV is win also. And then go to fold. See, 1 to fold. 2 fold.
Grace with the king 8 offsuit. A little bit of a decision point here. I think I'm probably going to pass this one up. If it was me, as she does. Nice fold. Very stylish. Nice jacket. Nice sunnies. And a lot of support in her rail. As Erwin opens up the pocket 4s and Sammy with the ace-9 of hearts in the small blind. Interesting decision point for him. We have 1 player only shorter than us. We have 20 big blinds, which is not nothing. Is this ever a jam? Is this a call? Or is this like a 3-bet click?
5 raise.
He's gone with 3-bet click. I definitely don't hate this. I think this is fine. He's gone about 3.5 bigs. And he does get Erwin to fold pocket 4s, which is a great result for Sammy. So well played there. I think if we had something in the vicinity of 13 to 15 big blinds, I think we're probably jamming that, going with it. But with 20, maybe a little bit too much. It's a disaster if we get 4-bet jammed on, obviously, but how often is that going to happen realistically at a final table? When we're playing for so much money, probably unlikely. So I do like his decision to 3-bet there. It's just a little bit awkward if we get called. We're probably not in great shape and we are out of position. As we see Erwin open up the ace-5 off from the cutoff and just getting it through. So really using that that high card blocker just to open up the ranges there and take it down. Every pot is important. As we have mentioned, 2 big blinds here, 5 big blinds there can really make you, just chip up a bit. And the difference of, if you get a cooler, now you've got some chips behind as well to play with as well. So every pot does matter, as I'm sure a lot of you know, but I think, not being too nitty on these final tables is definitely something that I think is important. Sammy's going to open up the king jack offsuit off 24 big blinds. Totally fine.
5 raise, 700.
Let's go with 700, so slightly bigger than I'm in open.
Skip it. 7 fold. Yeah, because we've already had such a long break. Skip the break, guys?
We'll talk about this after.
Yeah. Calls. Heads up. Check.
So Charles elects to pass up on the jack 8 offsuit before and now take the jack 9 offsuit, which is fine. Unfortunately, has flopped middle pair, which is no good. Against this size, I actually don't just hate folding right now. It feels a little bit bizarre, but what are we really hoping to achieve on turns and rivers? Any spade just puts us in a world of hurt. Any overcard and any future aggression really hurts. So I don't think folding's out of the question here. He does go with call. Obviously, we are ahead of some spade combos, some single spade combos. I definitely don't blame him for calling, but it is going to get a little bit gross. I think if we think our opponent isn't capable of, triple barrel bluffing, then it makes it a lot easier. And Sammy does check back, so I don't think our hand is... I don't think we want to turn this hand into a bluff. I think we have a slither of showdown value. And it does go check, check. Charles is going to look at the bad news, unfortunately, and Sammy takes down another nice pot, so... I think that chip stack didn't update properly because it said he only won 225k, but he definitely won a lot more than that, considering that he's not even one big blind. We've got a few comments in the chat about Jacob dealing the pain. Johnny Depp on the final table. Definitely one of the more common final table dealers. There were a couple others last year, like we had Zara quite a fair bit. I'm not sure where she is, but there's definitely been a few new ones that I haven't seen before who are sort of one of the mainstays now, so... And I apologize, guys. Apparently that was a chop pot. It is late, so my bad. Thanks for picking that one up. Makes sense why he only won half a big blind. So Charles is actually going to be quite happy with that result, knowing that he got pretty lucky on the river there with the board pairing. Nice fold there from Charles, obviously. A nice playable, pretty hand, but with the stack distribution at the moment, I think with Grace being so short, Sammy and Habib also sort of a similar level to you. You can sort of pass a lot of spots here and just let people sort of punt it in and get some pay jumps that way. So Sammy here with the King Queen offsuit, good enough for a raise. He's probably going to just hope that Grace doesn't jam all in because he's going to have to fold versus her, and that's obviously a shame. But Grace waking up with the Jack 7 offsuit, probably going to just fold this one, I would assume, yeah. And now she's in that sub 10 big blind category, and it's not looking overly great for her now with second last in chips being double her stack. So she's going to need to find a spot pretty soon, being 7-handed. The blinds do go up pretty quickly and the button does come around quite quick. So she's going to need to find a spot ASAP. So unfortunately for Alan, who came in to this final table as the chip leader, as you can see, everyone watching the TV above them, I'm sure someone ran a bluff or something like that and everyone wants to pay attention. But unfortunately for him, hasn't really been his FT so far. Has opened up a couple of pots and been jammed on with sort of the bottom of his range. And yeah, Charles, by the looks of it, this hand's taken the queen 10 off for a raise. Luckily didn't jam. Erwin with the ace-jack off in the big blind may just want to whack this one, deny a bunch of equity. As we can see, he's only a 57% favorite. But he does choose call. I definitely don't hate the jam if he were to do that, but does go with the passive route and calls. It's just very hard to play out of position now, especially with an offsuit hand. Now we have no backdoor flush draws as well to come along with it. So I think it's going to be pretty easy for Charles to just c-bet this one and get king highs and potentially ace highs to fold. And surprisingly, Charles elects to check back this flop, which is interesting because I think this is a hand class that may want to bet. Obviously, we don't have a lot of 8x and 5x, but
You might change your mind this time.
we are in position. We do get some better hands to fold, like king 10, maybe ace 10, and the hand he has exactly.
That was a scary board.
We now pick up a gut shot, so depending on rivers, we may have to bluff this one, being in position as well. Say the river's like a king. I'm probably going to have to bluff this one. Unfortunately, it's a 3, so I think Owen can bet pretty comfortably for value here. And it depends on the size he wants to use. Does he really... Like, there was no potential flush draws that our opponent could pick up on the turn, so... Do we want to go really polar and just, like, whack it? And say, like, I've missed. I've got, like, 6-7 or 7-4 or something like that? Or do we want to go medium to small and try to get a call from a worse Jack X? Even to all in Jack X is kind of gross. Might even have to call it off, but
Yeah, that was a good fold. You're blocking. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
You're blocking, I'm blocking. Yeah.
so another. I think we've got a David Bowen lover in the chat, or at least a good friend. He's made 3 final tables already, which is absurd. I've played every event pretty much so far, and I have not even come close to cashing. So to make 3 final tables is quite impressive. So good early start for him and for the fantasy team that lead drafted himself. But pretty good start for all of that, and especially his bank account. I think he's won like maybe 20k already, which is pretty nice considering it's a long series. Just to have that little buffer. I think I can hear Paris in the background. God, he's so loud. A lot of ace queens being picked up on this final table as we see Habib pick up the ace queen offsuit. I think he's said all in. No, 800k. I was hoping he didn't move all in. It's way too strong of a hand to move all in. This was going to take one down as well, so. Take that back. Sammy has made a insanely light call with the king 10 offsuit from the small blind. This is, I don't know if I would recommend this one. Out of position in poker is really, really tough. Obviously acting first. our opponent can use the information we give them to construct his range and how he wants to bet, as well as having an offsuit hand, which means we have less backdoor flush draws. Harder to realize our equity. But in this case, it looks like it's going to work out, as Sammy is going with probably a check call, I would say. Also has backdoor spades working for him, but he's really not going to want to see a 10 or an ace, I guess.
Check.
So it does go check, check, and with the 8 of spades dropping on the river, Sammy does not want to go for value, and he's just going to get it checked down. So this is quite a passive final table, I would say, and if I was playing on this or coaching someone at this FT, I would probably be telling them something along the lines of, we can be very aggressive when opening pots. If people play back at us, we want to be very, very tight and only continue with like very top of range, because it doesn't look like people are putting in money wide here at all. And maybe even calling lighter pre, because people are not bluffing enough post, I think would be my advice. The ace queen did make a pretty easy check back. We beat the draws. We have some showdown as well. So not that there was anything necessarily wrong with that hand, just sort of how it shaked out as Erwin with the beautiful Jack 10 suited. Gonna open this one up.
Full raise, 800. 5 fold.
Playing in the casino, and then things like almost in the fun tables, it was like 2 tables left, and then there was a 4 all in, aces, king, and queen, and they had jacks.
Oh, sorry. The Facebook,
6 raise.
Facebook comments haven't popped up, and Anthony Bond is the absolute king of ace king, because he's picked that hand up like 3 or 4 times on this final table. So I think Erwin's gonna fold this one pretty comfortably, understanding that our opponents are probably under 3-betting as well by quite a bit. In some situations, Jack 10 suited would make for a nice rejam, but I don't think this is the situation for that, if you want me to be honest. Amanda, I did actually see that 10-2 offsuit hand, and I did laugh at him because it was horrendous, but I guess the chips got shipped his way, so very lucky boy. Shout out my boy 4bats in the chat.
4 fold.
I was too rich now, so
5 fold.
didn't want to come to Gold Coast early, unfortunately, but
6 fold.
I think he said he will be here shortly. Next couple of days, we'll probably win 3 tournaments, which is always fun. Might take me out for dinner, that'd be nice. As we see Alan,
7 all in.
who's all in with the King, Queen of Hearts.
1
And the big blind, Charles, is just going to snap fold the 8-5 off. So another small pot for Alan. Nothing really big his way so far on this final table, but a lot of small pots just accumulating, which is always nice. Thank you, Piano Man. Much appreciated in the YouTube chat. Yeah, so the hand man is referring to Paris limps. I think Manda moves all in with ace king, and then someone else moves all in with like king 8 offsuit or something like that for like 30 bigs, and Paris calls off with 10-2 offsuit and turns a 10 and holds. So that goes to show that there is no skill in poker sometimes, hey? So we'll see if Erwin opens this one up. Does elect to let it go. It's interesting to see how wide these players are. We don't really know until they get a cuspy hand. So I assume Jack 9 suited he would have opened, but Jack 8 suited he does think about for a second and does fold. And luckily for him, because Alan's woken up in the big blind with pocket jacks. And I think we can jam this one, potentially, or maybe you want to induce. Probably want to induce, I would say. We've got an 11 big and a 12 big blind stack in the blind. So if we had a hand like, say, pocket 7s, we'd probably all in here. Happy to get folds. Oh my gosh. This is so sick. Now, do we have a call here and set the trap, or do we just jam? And Alan is going to snap call this one, obviously, and get shown the bad news, which is pretty sick. button versus big blind, and Alan will still be in this tournament if he does not find a jack butt. We'll be quite short. And that is not the flop you want to see when you have jacks. Does not even have a backdoor flush draw, but a queen or a 10 can help him. Four remaining queens in the deck, this would be one of the sickest. Oh, okay, no good, unfortunately. So Alan will be pretty much now our shortest stack along with Grace. And this is why sometimes it's good if you're Grace, because you just, you've been patient now. Sure, you haven't really had many hands to go with, but if you did have any cuspy hands, taking them to fold is not always the worst option, because collision effect, 2 big stacks can go all in. There can be coolers, and then you can just get a couple of ladders as well. So you do need to take some spots, obviously, but there is that happy middle ground where you sort of take some easy spots and then pass on those middling spots where you don't really want to take a huge risk.
Unlucky, Alan. I noticed that too.
Good luck.
So Jacob dealing a cooler and then straight off in true dealer fashion. So yeah, wow, Erwin's just going to be the one cruising this FT, and Alan, unfortunately, our other chip leader to start, is on the bad end of it. Pretty short now, Alan, going to be the cutoff now, so he's going to hope to pick up a hand and not run into aces again. That is absurd, especially when you're playing for this much money. There's so many worse hands your opponent's jamming from the big blind. He's jamming 10s, he's jamming like King Jack, he's jamming King Queen, he's jamming a lot of ace-X. Maybe he has like ace-5 suited and ace-6 suited and those types of hands as well. Even hands like down at pocket 6s, he only had 10 bigs, so those hands are all going to go in the middle. And he just found the one hand that absolutely punishes jacks.
But we both do the same thing. We can't see the world the same way.
So Charles with King 10 off suit, I assume was going to rip it, and does. Habib with a very easy fold with the Queen Jack offsuit, sort of a funeral, and Grace with a very easy fold, unfortunately for her. Pretty card dead, Grace, I will say. It is frustrating, trust me, but you've got to keep trying to be patient and find hands.
And then you fold it. Oh, I thought you really had it.
Comment in the Twitch chat. Much appreciated, Michael. Very, very nice. It's good to hear some good feedback, so very appreciative. As Anthony just waking up with another monster. I mean, ace 10 offsuit, I wouldn't call it a monster, but just a very nice playable hand. When you're on final tables, as we can see, some of these players have barely played a hand, such as Grace. While Anthony's picked up ace king 3 times and ace 10 off and stuff. Alan makes a disciplined fold. It is the right fold for sure, but it is frustrating when you've just lost a big pot and you probably were going to jam, but someone ruined your plan and raised first, and now you're sort of a little bit tilted, but it does make the appropriate laydown. As Erwin picks up the Queen Jack off in the big blind, and he's definitely going to see 3. On this 8-7-3 flop, I think Anthony's going to c-bet range, and if Erwin thinks that Anthony's c-betting range, it should make for a really cheeky check raise. I'm not saying I would do it, I'm not saying it's smart to do it, but if you think your opponent's c-betting range and you can get him to fold, it definitely could come into your brain to do something along those lines, but it does elect for the more standard passive route, which is totally fine. And Anthony is just chipping away, so him and Erwin are kind of our runaway chip leaders, a bit sort of in that sort of tier, but with Sammy, but yeah, there's a few shorties now, and Charles is picking his spots quite well. He's had a couple of nice hands picked up in the late position, cut off and button, and made for a pretty easy jam with the 10 to 12 big blind stacks as well. So he's playing this FT quite well, and not a lot you can do when you're a middling stack to short stack. You just kind of got to hope the cards fall your way and find some nice hands to jam, particularly from late position. As he picks up pocket twos, this one will go straight in the muck. As he does nicely. Habib with the queen 10 suited. This is good enough for a raise, and Grace is finally going to get a chance to go all in here. And to her delight, she's going to be dominating Habib's queen 10 with her ace 10. So she's going to be quite happy when she jams, and Habib is not happy but cycles. Oh my god, no way Erwin wakes up with kings. That's absurd. Poor Grace. That is unbelievably unlucky. When you're playing for this much money, I mean, she still has a bunch of equity, so it's not like she's dead, but it's just such a shame because a lot of the time Habib's going to obviously just have to pay her off because she's jammed for such a small amount, and she's going to win that a chunk of the time. And now Erwin, is he going to just call, or is he going to jam over the top? That's his decision point. But yeah, pretty gross for Grace. That's very, very unfortunate. I love getting baited in the comments section. Thanks, man. So Erwin does elect to, I believe, it looks like he's clicked it to 3 mil, which is actually quite nice. Not sure what Sammy's doing. You have 8-3 suited, just a bit of posturing before letting the 8 high go. And Grace is going to be pretty annoyed when she sees this one, but she does have about 30% equity, so almost a third of the time she's going to win this one and almost triple up. So it's not over yet, but she does need some help. The spade in the window, pretty deceiving there. Has some backdoor straight, now a backdoor flush draw, ace or a spade. And she does not find it is black, but no spade. So we are unfortunately going to lose Grace in 6th place, or 7th place, mind you. Unfortunately not going to pick up the trophy and the $82,000. But a little consolation prize of $9,055 isn't the worst thing in the world, but obviously very bittersweet. So yeah, a lot of comments at the moment. Obviously pretty shattered with Grace running into kings there, and Erwin finds a nice hand and is now our runaway chip leader. So he's in a great spot now, as Charles is going to open this one up with the ace-6 of hearts. And Sammy with an interesting decision point now. The queen-jack suited. Do we want to raise? Do we want to call? Do we want to jam? Definitely not. Not definitely not, but probably not jamming. We're 23 bigs effective with the big blind. I do think calling is the best option. I think 3-bet folding is an absolute disaster. So I think call's quite nice. But I wouldn't have faulted him for wanting to put some extra chips in the pot, as he does flop top 2. And Charles with the backdoor flush draw. Unsure if he's going to knuckle this one back or continue his story. I think I'm probably going to want to check this one. Backdoor flush draw is nice, but our opponent just has a lot of stuff here. A lot of pair plus gut shots. A lot of 2 pairs. Some straights. Definitely doesn't have the sets. Maybe pocket 8s, but definitely not queens and jacks, which we do have. as the pre-flop aggressor. And let's see how Sammy wants to proceed with this one. Does he want to come with call or does he want to come with raise? And he is going to let Charles get off quite cheaply as he does show the top 2 pair. Definitely wouldn't recommend this. In my opinion, I think obviously we're having fun. Definitely always have fun, but
You should have started.
you just want to give your opponents as little information as possible, right? Like,
Make a flush draw. And
if you're a solid player on this table and someone gives you information like that, right? Now, I'm not saying the guy's never bluffing, but you know, now that we've seen him do it maybe 2 or 3 times and he always has it, does this guy just never bluff when he check raises?
against upset.
So now anytime he check raises, and like, let's say we have aces on queen, jack, 8, you just now bet fold aces because the guy's never bluffing, right? So yeah, obviously fun and stuff, but we're playing for a lot of money. I mean, everyone can do what they want, it's their buy-in, but yeah, if I was giving some advice, I would say try not to show the hands. If you're on a final table, definitely unless you want to set up, unless you're setting up for something. Now, if Sammy's deciding that he wants to start bluffing every hand, and maybe you show a couple of bluffs, a couple of value hands, and he can start bluffing like crazy. And Alan's going to flick this one in quite comfortably with the ace-3 offsuit, and it would be very sad to see him go coming in as basically chip leader. Busting 6 would be a bit of a disaster, but nothing you really could have done about it. He did get in the best hand. Well, what he thought was the best hand until he ran into aces. So we are going to go to a flop. Alan currently ahead with the ace-3 off, but that is a terrible window. Does have backdoor flush and backdoor straights working for him. Not a good turn. And he's going to need an ace and an ace only on the river. Or he will be GG, and we do lose Alan in 6th place. So very unfortunate run for Alan. Obviously a great effort to final table an event with this many runners, but man, so close to the ultimate prize and the trophy. So very, very sad for Alan.
He's probably in a big spot and he got cooler.
So let's see how Anthony wants to play this now. He's the chip leader, at least for the people in this pot. This seems like a pretty intuitive open, being the chip leader, making a very easy hand to fold if we get jammed on. And he does. Did he just... Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Sorry. There's no small blind. Okay. The graphics were wrong a little bit. So there's no small blind in that hand. So he was essentially just jamming into the big blind of 9.5 bigs, which is less, 8.5 big, which is pretty fine. So Erwin with another pretty good hand here from under the gun, 5-handed. Habib with the ace-5 off 15 bigs, does like to call. And this is a very interesting flop, so I would assume that Erwin's definitely going to want to c-bet this one. And Habib picking up middle pair, but it's a very vulnerable middle pair, right? So Erwin wants to bet here to get some hands better than his default. So let's say Habib had a hand like ace-6 offsuit or ace-8 offsuit. He's definitely folding them, which is great when we have king high. We have backdoor straight draws, we have backdoor flush draws, we have 2 overcards. Our hand is a very nice hand to start betting. But when Habib does call, we need to ask ourselves, is our opponent ever raising a jack? And if he is, then our opponent has a lot of these like low cards. So not an ideal turn. I think if the turn was like a 9, well, I know if the turn was a 9, 10, Queen King or Ace, I'm pretty confident that Erwin's going to start barreling. But on this turn specifically, it's a really bad card. Our opponent has all the sets and all the straights. And some 2 pairs in there at some frequency as well. So Erwin with an unfortunate turn and does like check back, and Habib's going to work out, can I value bet this hand? Can I get called by ace high? Does pick a really nice juicy sizing pot of 4 million and bets 700k. So bets about 17% pot, which is a really nice size. And the only issue is, can our opponent ever turn this hand into a bluff? I don't think I've seen many opponents do this on rivers, especially when the big blind can have everything. So I'm definitely going to say no. Everyone's just trying to work out, is my king high ever good here? Is my opponent ever turning? I guess the only real combo of a bluff would be 6-8 suited, or maybe offsuit, and then some flush draws. But this size is really enticing. If our opponent actually bluffs, we are ahead of all of the bluffs, but sometimes your opponents just aren't bluffing enough to justify calling with these really marginal hands. So I think, in my opinion at least, with how passive that this table's been, I definitely don't think people are bluffing enough. Like, I actually don't believe I've seen a bluff for this whole final table, which is pretty crazy when you think about it, but I guess it's a lot of post-flop action, pre-flop action, with everyone being so short. So we are down to our final 4 now. Next payout will be $14,820, and then we're really getting into the big dollars. $21,000 for 4th, $30,000 for 3rd, $50,000 for 2nd, and $82,000 for 1st. As the blinds have now gone up, which means Charles's stack has been decimated a little bit more. So now only has 5.6 big blinds. I think I just saw 8-9 offsuit fold the small blind. Really passive. And if I'm Erwin, I'm absolutely pouncing on that. I think anytime I get a limp, or basically anytime my opponent shows any signs of weakness, I'm just bluffing. Bluffing a lot against those types of players because, yeah, a lot of the times when these guys sort of show their passivity, it's very enticing to sort of pounce on the opportunity to take chips. And as we mentioned, like, when you've only got 20 bigs or 25 bigs, you know, if you can pick up a pot of 4 bigs with like maybe like a 1/3 pot bet or like a 1/4 pot bet, it's just such an insanely, absurdly print spot to be in. So we do see Anthony finally without ace king, does have pocket 4s and has opened it. Sammy, I would assume, is going to just call this one. No need to sort of do anything other than call, as he does flick in the chips. And a pretty safe flop for the pocket 4s for Anthony. 10 deuce deuce, very good. Our opponent obviously can have some 2x, but a bit more unlikely in these ICM sort of spots where we should be defending quite tighter. Don't have a lot of 2x. We definitely have no offsuit 2x except maybe ace 2 off, but we definitely don't have a bunch of it suited 2x as well. I think we're probably folding a hand like 6-2 suited and stuff like that on an FT. So unless Charles can find some sort of double up in the next couple of orbits, he's going to be our 5th place finisher. 5-handed, the button just goes around so quickly. So, you know, within like 7 hands, he's going to be basically all in blind. So he does need to find a spot very quickly.
What do you have, Cole? Queen 3. Oh, yeah. I thought it was like close one. No.
But Charles capable to squeeze.
Yeah, yeah.
But not against his range.
Charles with a very timely ace king offsuit here. Does raise, leaves the chip behind, and he is going to get this one through, I would hope. Wow. Is Sammy really going to call? Or is he just thinking about it? I think he's just posturing, yeah. Makes for a very easy fold, and the Jack 3 suited is going to go in the bin. So Charles with a very nice and needed double. Almost double up, basically, when you're so short. I mean, he went from 5 bigs to 8 bigs, so 1.5x his stack with no sweat is always nice. And just a little bit of breathing room because he is our clear short stack at this final table.
Classic.
How do you do it, Charles? How do
What do
you
you
do
mean?
it?
There's 5
How
cards
do
to
you
come.
do it?
Don't you dare say any of this. There's 5 cards to come.
How raise like kind of hands?
Free flop.
So we do get an all-in here, and it is ace king of clubs up against pocket jacks.
Yeah.
No help, not even a backdoor flush draw for the ace king, and they are all in at risk. So we are going to need to see one of the remaining 3 aces or 3 kings, or we are going to lose ace king. And we do lose Charles in 5th, unfortunately. And from what I've been told from the bosses upstairs, we are going to go on a really quick 5-minute break shortly. I don't think it's right now, but in a couple of minutes. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Four-handed for an $82,000 pay packet. It's just absurd for such a small buy-in tournament. So pretty crazy. But yeah, very unlucky there for Charles with ace king suited off 8 bigs. He wins that, he's got like 17 or 18 bigs, and he really gives himself a shot to win this tournament. So he'd be pretty cut with that one. But yeah, unfortunately can't find it as Sammy picks up the pocket 2s, and I assume with his sort of looser play style is going to be opening this one up. And he does go with 1.2 million. So about 2.5 bigs, which is a little bit on the bigger side.
What did you have?
So this, from the sounds of it, a lot still happening.
Yeah, I thought you'd check. I honestly thought you'd check back that flop.
I'm just checking the schedule now, so
Yeah, and then just let you.
I mean I can hear Paris still, which is absurd. So
What if I check?
he's obviously still running amok in the big bounty there. I think last time I talked to him, he had collected 8 bounties, which is just insane. But you know, it's Paris. So we've still got, I believe the golden ticket's still running. Trying to find the ticket. I unfortunately did not win that one, which is a shame. And then there's a Monday Mayhem, Hyper Turbo PLO, and there's a Monster Free Satellite. So still plenty going down. It's 1 a.m. and there's still probably like 2 or 3 tournaments happening out there, which is pretty cool. As we see some blind on blind action by the looks of it. Habib raising it up here with the King 6 offsuit. Erwin just going to flat the Ace 10 suited. Such a pretty hand. We dominate a lot of his Ace X that he opens with. Also, we've probably noted that he's a bit more passive, or like in general, the table's a bit passive. So if we whack ace 10, we're only getting called by better, obviously. Asabib does check top pair on the flop, and now has come with, I believe, 1/3 on the turn. Urban can't fold this yet. It's not ideal, but our opponent can have some bluffs. We are trying to hit an ace or a queen to win this one. 10 doesn't really change much. We probably just are happy checking this one back, obviously now, but definitely if we thought we were behind on the turn, doesn't really make us feel any more confident about being ahead on the river. So the 4 players, pretty cool. Locked up at least $20,000 now, obviously. Still gunning for that top prize, but just knowing you have that in the kitty is pretty nice. Can maybe take a little bit of the pressure off, but still playing for such an absurd amount of money up top. I'm sure these guys are all really going to want that. It's such a bummer to bust before first, I mean, obviously, but when the pay jumps are so significant, you know, you beat 1,370 people, 20k, and 3 more people, you get an extra 60k. So you're really going to want to jump it up there. And it does look like we're going to go on a break, guys. So we are only going to be 5 minutes, so don't go anywhere. Stay tuned, and we'll be back very shortly.
Alright guys, the time now is 12:35.
He paused in the yeah. 12:40? I mean, yeah, 12:44, 12:40.
Is it not right? Okay, it's flickering back.
So what time are we back to?
5 minutes.
Welcome back to the final four of our Genesis, playing for $82,000. Hope you guys didn't go anywhere. They are going to get this one up and running in just a tick. As we can see, the stack distributions, no one's really short. So, although four-handed, cool has become a lot wider. It's not really aces v kings. It's more like 10s v 8s and stuff like that, four-handed. So, 20 big blinds is quite a bit, but it can go in quite quickly. But we are just waiting for, I think, the go-ahead from the guys upstairs, and then we'll be good to kick this one off. So if anyone has any questions, once again, my name is Jackson. Feel free to chuck some in the YouTube, the Facebook, or the Twitch, and I'll do my best to answer it to the best of the ability.
I'm pretty sure I was just.
And yeah, also, who are we rooting for now? Actually, I didn't realize that Erwin is now our shortest stack, which is pretty crazy since he had the biggest stack before. But we saw Alan already bust out with the chip leader stack before. So, and truly anything can happen on final tables, and a couple of hands is just all it takes to go from chip lead to out. So, Anthony's just been the dominant one on this final table, I think, with his multiple ace kings and ace tens, and just really picked up a lot of pots uncontested. So he's picked his spots quite nicely. Obviously helps when you get a good card distribution, but can only really do with what you get dealt. So he's played this one pretty much to perfection for what he's had in his hand.
Oh yeah, I folded.
You guys still need to verify about it?
Yes, please. Just to be sure.
Yeah, king 6, yeah. I was blind.
Sorry. Another hand after Correct.
But wasn't another hand after that?
I'm pretty sure he just said button C4 on the back row.
Button's not C4. Alright, we good to go?
I couldn't remember at all what.
I don't remember. I remember that king 6. I remember that.
So we are dealing, shuffling and dealing now, which is great. Getting back into it. I think this one's going to probably be done in the next half an hour. Not exactly sure yet, but I can't imagine this one taking too long. Four-handed sparks are going to fly, and depending on the hands that get dealt, it could be over within 5 to 10 minutes. It could be an hour, but it is getting a little bit late, so we'll see if that affects any of the players and whether they're trying to get it in a little bit lighter than what we see. So we do see Habib. It says under the gun, obviously, but we do know we are the cutoff. It's four-handed, so obviously we are just using four-handed ranges. Does open up from the cutoff, and Anthony Bond with the ace-4 off. Does he want to call? Does he want a 3-bet click? It does just come with call. I'm off to see a flop. So Habib out flopping Anthony. I still think we probably want to check this one back, as he does. He's a pretty gross board. I don't think ace-4 really wants to bluff this one. I don't think Habib has any incentive to bet this one either, so we are going to see it check down, most likely. Anthony probably thinking how he has a very, very small slither of showdown value. But Habib's going to show him the 5, and first hand of the four-handed session does go to Habib. Question in the chat, does the APL Millions run twice a year? No, this is a once a year event. It's the biggest one probably definitely in Australia. Just the sheer amount of runners and the sheer amount of events. I mean, there's literally 100 events in this series. I don't think anything even gets close to that in the rest of Australia. And the field sizes are just absurd for everything. It's just very, 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 very fun. I went to Vegas this year, and it's sort of similar to that in terms of how many runners. I mean, Vegas is a different beast, obviously, but it's like a very, very good Australian equivalent. As Sammy picks up the ace-8 offsuit. Interesting to see what Anthony does here. Don't think calling's a great option. I think 3-betting or folding this hand would be my preferred line, if you want my advice. And it does look like he's cutting out a 3-bet. So I did say Anthony just sort of had ace-king and stuff, and that's how he's chipped up. And, you know, sometimes that's what it requires, is just playing the good hands really well. But showing that he's using these hands to 3-bet, really shows the caliber, and I think he really does understand these exact spots. And you know, when you have all value, obviously you're just going to play all your value and play it quite easily. But when you have these cuspy hands and you're three betting, it really shows that skill. And this is quite a loose call from Sammy on the button. Obviously, we do have position, but we have ace-7 offsuit. Ace-8 offsuit, sorry. So I really like this 3-bet from Anthony. I think this defend is a little bit too wide, in my opinion. I wouldn't have even hated like a 4-bet click, but I think call may be a little bit too wide. I'm not going to sit here and say I've studied a bunch of final table spots, but it does get pretty gross on a lot of flops. Like even now we flopped a pair and it's like gross, you know? Like what do we actually beat right now? We beat bluffs obviously, but even some bluffs like Queen 10 suited we lose to, like King 6 suited we lose to at the moment. So it becomes very tough to play this hand even though we are in position. We have no backdoors. I mean, looks like he's happy to be a battler from what I've seen so far in this tournament, but he has just bet 2.6 million and we only have like 8 million total. So this is like a significant portion of our stack. I really do think he's going to fold this one. I mean, anything like jamming would be just absurd. But what are we really hoping for? Like, this is why I was saying maybe we just fold pre, because it just makes our life a lot easier. Like we're getting pretty shallow, right? So I think maybe it would have been the best course of action to just let that one go pre and live to see another day. But now that we've taken so long as well to act, it maybe looks like we have like a weak pair, like an 8 or a 10. And maybe Anthony goes, well, if he calls here, is he pretty much saying, hey, I'm committing to this pot regardless of turns? Or do I think because he's taking so long, he's got a very weak hand? But now that Sammy started talking, I'm going to assume that he's just going to be folding this one. It's very hard to call once you've started talking to your opponent and the decision's on you. So a very well played hand from Anthony, and gets the best hand to fold, which is very nice. So he's definitely our favorite to win this one now with the chip lead and blinding down Sammy to just below 16 big blinds now. So Anthony with the Queen 2 suited, finding a very nice raise here. Habib is a little bit in ICM jail right now, being the clear second stack. And I really just like that he's called this one. Definitely would not have wanted to raise or jam. That would be a pretty big torch in my opinion. So Anthony with position is going to see a flop here and does flop top pair on Queen 3-5. Has backdoor clubs working for him. Does just elect to snap check this one back. I think betting small's good. I think checking's not terrible. We can get some worse hands to start bluffing or betting for protection. So maybe Habib thinks we have ace high now that we've checked back. So our hand looks a little bit weak, which is exactly what we want. And our opponent can start bluffing. In my opinion, I think Habib sort of value/protection bet the turn, which is exactly what he did, and he's checked. Now Anthony needs to work out, do I want to bet my hand for value? Do I think a 10 can call? I actually wouldn't have hated to see, once I see Habib check check the river, I definitely think I would have liked to see a small bet. Trying to get called by 10x, maybe 7x. But does elect to check back, play it safe, which is totally fine, and takes down another pot. So he's just steamrolling this final table now, and he's extended his chip lead now to almost double second in chips.
I'm glad I followed that spot. Did nothing pure fucking idiot. Still like in the do I jam?
Lucky you didn't.
That's your pocket force.
Yeah, on that one, yeah, I folded forwards when you raised on the gun. I just like, I was jamming my folding. I was in small blind.
Yeah.
And Charles was short in the big blind. So calling and like letting him in.
Yeah,
stuff.
just
So Anthony just continuing his steamroll of this table, picking up pocket fives on the cutoff. And Sammy has had enough and has just gone all in with the king jack off. Makes for a very easy fold with our pocket fives. Very, very easy fold with our pocket fives. The last thing we want is to double up. Firstly, we can be behind. Secondly, we're almost never ahead. And most of the time we're flipping. But the last thing we want is to give this guy the chip lead. We have the chip lead right now. We can dominate the table quite easily. This makes for a very easy fold. Does let it go after some deliberation, which is fine. Always good to weigh up your option. So let's see how wide Irwin's willing to go on the button. King 5 off into the chip leader. I do think that's the right fold. And Sammy's just going to let the queen 3 off go as Anthony picks up another pot. And this is the position of this is the best about being in this position. As the chip leader, people are scared to enter pots against you. You have just a commanding presence on the table. They know that you can 3-bet bluff them wide, and they can't really do a lot about it unless they're willing to 4-bet jam, which I would assume not many people are. So he's going to be obviously the heavy favorite to win this 82,000 and the trophy, but it's poker and it's never over because you can always win with a bad hand or a dominated hand. As we've seen many times throughout this feature table, the worst hand always winning. So
slow play.
let's see how Anthony elects to play a bad hand like 9-5 off. I would say you want to come with raise. I think raising's quite nice, but he does just let it go. I think he should maybe take a minute to just understand the situation, the dynamic he's in, because I mean, from what I've seen, I can see the cards obviously, but I mean they can on the delay too. But I think that people are quite passive as it is, and now that you're chip leader, you're quite afraid to enter pots against him. So if you just raise, like I think you're gonna take it down quite a bunch. And you don't need to make it too big. Make it like 2.8 bigs or something like that. I think would be what I would be saying to Anthony, but he's quite a solid player from the looks of it anyway. So not that he needs my advice, but just something I think he could potentially add into his repertoire in this exact situation. As Sammy wakes up with kings. And this might be 3-bet bluff from Anthony. Obviously it would be bad timing, but he doesn't know that. I think I would really like to see a 3-bet bluff here. Does let it go. Habib in the small blind with the king queen off. I know what I would be doing. Wow, folds. This is absurd. Every time I think I know what to do, these guys do the complete opposite. And it makes me second guess my life. Unfortunately for Sammy, does get the ace high flop. But I still think this ground's enough for potentially wanting to bet, get some value from 8x or 5x. And this is a very interesting turn. Erwin, if I'm Erwin, the thoughts are going through my head is I know I need to double barrel this, but do I really want to do this with this much money up top? Do I really want to bluff it off? He's got a flush draw, he's got a gut shot. What is happening? This is it's very unfortunate for Erwin that Sammy's just decided that Kings is the best hand, I guess. Obviously have to fold, but it's such a torch. Not a torch, sorry. It's such a disaster folding 30% equity. But we're going to have to, right? Don't really have a choice. He's just understanding that in chip EV we can potentially call one, but in ICM, like 11 big sucks. But we are definitely not dead. But yeah, that was a pretty crazy jam. I'm not sure what he was trying to get called by. I guess he just thought his opponent didn't have an ace, but if that's the case, then maybe we want to let our opponent bluff it off. But does end up winning the hand, so I guess it worked out for him. Habib with the ace king, definitely going to come in for a raise. And let's see if he can potentially call someone, ace queen, ace jack, something in that vicinity. Oh, wow, here we go. This is it. This is the flip of the tournament. I would be absolutely shocked if Sammy does not raise or go all in here. Pocket nines is just too good of a hand. We're against the button. Oh my goodness. Just flats and saves himself like a potential devastating pot. And the board does come 8 high. Sammy does have a diamond, which is really nice to have. It's a lot harder to get barreled off now, but I assume this one's going to go check quite often, and it does. And the 10 of diamonds rolls off on the turn, and like, I don't want to be results based here, but Sammy literally would have had chip lead if he just went all in pre. So Habib's going to get off unbelievably cheap with such a good hand. I'm glad that it's I'm glad they're having fun out there. It's obviously good to see, but
Show me. I don't want to wait for half an hour. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, I told you. It's
crazy that one didn't get all in pre.
You would have had everything.
Like with button versus big blind, I think that hand's just a mandatory jam. We also cover the guy, right? So he has to be tighter when he calls off. Now, obviously, he would have called off ace king, but I'm trying to be results based here, but it just seems absurd not to whack that one in pre. It feels way too passive. Like let's say the flop comes 10 high or jack high or anything above a 9. Like, are we just check folding? Like, are we just like really passive? I'm not sure his exact strategy. I'm sure he definitely has a strategy. I'm not saying what his strategy is wrong or right, but maybe he just feels that he only gets called by better in his opponent's passive post, so he can realize his equity quite a bunch. But I don't know. I think personally, I'm just whacking that one in pre.
Oh, he's saying it's 5. I don't think we need the 3, 6, 4.
There is a 750 chip. In a
What, 750 big one?
750k, 1.5 mil.
yeah.
And I think someone like Erwin is going to be very upset that those two hands did not get all in pre. It feels like you just got scammed like a 10k pay jump, because it's just, there's no way ace king and nines is not all in pre, but yeah, he'd be pretty cut with that. As we do see, and I do think Anthony could isolate the 10-4 offsuit there. You really do like isolating these like really junky hands, like a 10-4 off, and I think if I'm him, I'm just betting on this flop and taking it down such a high portion of the time. Getting hands like queen high, 10, queen high, better 10 highs to fold, king highs to fold. but I guess this one's just going to go check, check. And we are seeing the passive line in just so many spots in this final table. I think once Erwin, I mean, let's hope he wins it for his sake, but once he realizes that he's out of the tournament and didn't get a $10,000 pay jump in a $300 tournament because Ace King and Nines didn't get in pre, he's going to be very, very upset, and he's probably going to feel quite scammed from that, but it's okay. As we see Anthony raising up the 10-9-0.
First time a very small blind.
And I think we just want to raise this guy's big blind every hand because I think he's being quite passive. I mean, he hasn't really had any great hands to call with, but when someone's overfolding, it just makes it way more attractive to play range from small blind, whether that's in form of a limp or whether it's in form of a raise. Both are quite standard and both fine. But if he's overfolding, it means he's overfolding post as well. So there's two schools of thought there. Really up to what you think the player's tendencies are.
That was your chance. I said you got flush draw.
Where's that? Gone somewhere. Advantage. Do you want it? No, I don't need it. Just sit out there, wherever.
So Sammy's going to open this one up from the cutoff. Erwin's going to defend the Queen 8 offsuit, which is totally standard, especially at this stack depth. The shorter you are, the more you kind of have to defend because you're more of your stacks in the middle, right? So let's pretend you had one big blind, you're never folding anything, right? If you have 100 now, you can be a little bit more selective. So I think Erwin should potentially start bluffing here. It doesn't feel great when you only have 4 million, but your opponent's snap check back flop, check turn. I think if a 4 or 5 comes in, you're going to want to bet. Even now, I don't know. I wouldn't have hated a couple of really small bets on turn and or river, but it does elect to go with the passive route and does lose to ace high. Maybe just thought ace high was never going to fold. And against this specific opponent, maybe that's the case because he's been quite call happy. So Erwin does elect to jam the suited queen from the small blind, which is pretty standard for 7.5 bigs. Sammy's got a very easy fold, obviously, with Jack 4 suited, but he's a little bit gambly. Does like to go with some hands that may seem a little bit wide, but does let that one go.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
No, he's seen the stream.
Oh my god, I knew it. I knew it. I said I should shove.
They're not always connecting, Owen. Can you connect against you? Yeah. It'll work.
I knew it. I had a feeling it. I knew it.
It's hard to hit one pair with a fucking hand.
I swear to God, I put you in ace queen. Like I didn't put you in anything else. It's just
So Sammy with a pretty standard, I would say, limp from the small blind.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Can raise that hand, but if you get raised jams on, it's really, really gross. You can't call off. So I think limp's fine. With the ace of diamonds, probably have to continue here. Also have some backdoor straight draws as well as your backdoor flush draw. So I just think at some frequency we need to start bluffing, right? So if our opponent checks back here, we're probably ranging him on like a 5 or a 4. And if we think on like this river he's going to fold, then we should bet, because our ace high probably doesn't have much showdown, if any. And once again, the passive option has been taken by all opponents. So Sammy's going to lose a small one here, checking back the ace high.
Water will start leaking in here. Why do you try to solve?
Always trust my gut. I know I'm right, I'm right.
So Owen getting another nice jam through and has gone from, I think it was 4.5 million for like 7 bigs, now up to 12 bigs. So one double and he's back second in chips. So never count yourself out of these tournaments. And you probably should just keep that all in button next to him with how much he's jamming.
I'm
But
already in the office by 7:30. Tuesday I work from tomorrow. I'm not 100%.
Yeah, I got 1 week early and 1 week late.
I see. How early?
But that's good. Well, yeah, the early one is start at 4. And then the late one is like 8:30 in the morning.
If you call, I fold. I know I'm saying if you call, I fold. I'm giving up if you call me. Shove definitely works. You can get him on a popping sometimes, correct? We all bluff sometimes.
I've never bluffed.
Here we go.
Chris Woody, myself, popping back in the booth briefly just to see how you're going, Jackson, and check in on some of the action happening here. Looks like we're getting through this final table at a decent pace, would you say?
Yeah, a lot of people were sort of talking to me at the tables thinking that this would go for 3 days, but I definitely didn't think it would just because of, you know, the nature of the blind levels and, you know, it's such a big event, but, you know, it only is half an hour levels, I believe, so it's just going to go quite quick. It doesn't always just take 3 or 4 days for a tournament like some of the ones you see in Vegas, or you know what I mean. So I think this one's been quite a good structure for how many runners it got. But you know, there's a place for turbos and there's a place for those long, grueling tournaments, and I think this is like a nice middle ground. You know, like what the main's going to take. What is it? 5 days or something? I believe. Yeah, 4 days. Yeah.
Hit the king to jump.
Yeah. So.
This is, like you said, this is the middle round. So
Find
it's
out soon.
like a short, still. Healthy.
Well, that's the best hand. We both
Not
hold the
sure,
best hands. They
not
both lost.
particularly deep,
We both get lost.
but at a level there, it's not unexpected to reach a result tonight, especially when there's action like this, all in with the ace jack.
Here we go.
And a quick call. The jack 10. Owen, our at-risk player, not in good shape pre-flop.
He's going to need to catch a 10 or a magical straight to not get busted out of this tournament in fourth. Not a great start. Does have some backdoor straights working, but he's going to need to find one of the remaining 10s to stay alive. And it does not look like he's going to get there, unfortunately. We do lose Erwin in fourth place. Bittersweet once again, but does collect a nice 21k pay jump, which is definitely nothing to cry about in a $360 tournament.
Say no to play or play. You can look at ICM and say no. Why didn't you guys fucking ICM when I was still in? It's up to anyone else. If they say no, then we don't call the clock. Anyone wants to have a look, we're going to look. If not,
Just fixing Chris's mic now as I go through a couple of the comments. Cheers for letting us know. Are they playing to a winner tonight? Yes, definitely. We are now three-handed, so this one will probably be over, I would say, within the next half an hour.
I don't care either way.
Let's play. For now, let's play.
Yep.
If that's okay.
No, that's fine. That's not my
Hook here up from myself.
play or play on.
This mic's been unmuted the whole day. And I thought,
Yeah, just jump back in and it works.
yeah. Nah, muted it just before I left to escape any unwanted background noise and prove my own undoing, but
I don't care either. Literally, it doesn't matter that you say no.
I had nothing too insightful to add except for the calling of that hand, but just thought I'd pop my head in and say g'day to Jackson. What are the other events winding down outside? The Big Bounty not finishing today. It is a scheduled 2-day event. 309 entries in that. $300 per KO. And that's been a lot of fun for those players in that field. A couple of yellow bucket hats just picked up tournaments back to back.
It's actually insane. They must just be like too good because they win everything. It's quite absurd.
Is that my big blind?
They are from my neck of the woods down in Sydney. I think where I first met you, Jackson, I think
Castle,
Hill,
yeah,
RSL, yeah.
very random place we were in.
I look back and I go, how did you end up there? But Castle Hill RSL is a matter of minutes from my house. It is where I delved into free rolls for the first time back in 2018, and where I met a lot of those guys that became my friends and kind of worked ourselves into the poker industry together in various ways. Some of them took the playing side of it quite seriously, and I loved working in the industry. And the yellow bucket hats, it's kind of been our staple and heavily defines them. Hard to miss, and they all share a love for supporting each other, learning the game together.
It was the same situation when I had Queen Deuce. I had exactly the same hand.
And they
Your raise,
they kind of fly under the radar with a few of the guys. There's some new additions to the group that
and then I had
are well studied, but might not be well known to much of the rest of the country. So when they get drafted in fantasy for $1 or $2, they get excellent bang for buck. They've won the fantasy at this APL Million 2 years in a row, and in a very good position to be up there for a third. So Keo Win and Sherry He just picking up events titles respectively in the last 20 minutes or so. We'll come back to the action here, three-handed, biggest tournament of the day. And we are now in the big time areas when it comes to this money left. 30,000, 50,000, 82,000, those figures at the bottom of your screen. This is what you wish for when you jump into these events. You can prepare as much as you like, but once you're in that seat, and it's a very real possibility of one mistake or one card or one great move can be the difference of pretty much $50,000 at this point in time. It's hard to prepare for that. But the best thing I imagine you can do, Jackson, is just to put the any pressure you might have on yourself or any external factors, put it to the side and just play your game.
Well, speaking of playing your game, that was a insanely sexy check raise from Anthony. He's been someone that I've never heard of, and he's just playing basically perfectly. I really liked how he's played basically every hand on this final table. So pretty impressive stuff from him. He's got a lot of rail in the comments as well. So he's going to be one that's now up to 26 million in chips, 43 big blinds. He's probably going to be the one to take this one home if the cards fall his way. So as Habib picking up the jacks off 13 bigs, the question is, do we want to open? Do we want to jam? I definitely think, well, we're the big blind, but do we want to like 3-bet in juice, or do we want to just jam? I think Anthony's probably just going to whack this one in. Yep, as he does. And Habib's going to call this one very quickly. And this could be down to heads up if the cards fall the wrong way.
All it takes is a king at this point in time. And it's not out of the question the way the cards have fallen so far. Jack's just looking to fade that overcard. Here we go. Jack's at risk. And that's a nice flop. No, the player with a spade. Just looking to fade that king.
Uh-oh.
Or a 3.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, says Jackson. Does it?
Oh my gosh. That is absolutely insanely absurd. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, we do lose a bib in third. That's insane. And I guess this is the power of being the aggressor, because sometimes you just got to run the equity, and you do realize you're 35% or whatever he had. So very unlucky there from him, especially on that flop. But no backdoor flush draw, no backdoor straight draw, really. Just like pure runner. Death.
Looks like I have, I'm about to be substituted out because we have a former main event champion of the APL Million about to take my seat. So I'm going to go take care of some other matters around the room and welcome Amin Riazati into my spot. So he'll see you through with Jackson potentially down to a winner tonight, and I'll bid you farewell. Thanks very much, guys. We'll be back tomorrow for the Survivor Bounty, and Brendan's coming into the stream there. There might be a chance of a deal here. We'll get you any details if that comes to fruition, but we'll mute for a moment while we bring Amin into the seat. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and leave you with Jackson and Amin through to the end.
We were just going to say, we were just changing the payouts. We weren't even going to do RCM.
It's your money. I don't care. At the end of the day, though, I need a winner, so we have to play out.
Yeah, we're going to play it out. We'll just do 60k per second, the rest first. Can we do that?
What's the
To add
chips over here?
together.
Yeah, sure.
Probably like 60, 72 each.
Jacob.
That's it. It's just moving.
10 off first.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
take 10 off first and get to third. So second. So second will be 60,835.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy with
That
that.
sounds easy. Take 10 off
happy with
first, and we'll still play it out.
I just came
Good
in.
me
I just
still have
joined the
play here?
conversation.
Just taking 10 off first and putting it on second.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
All right. So what I want you to do, boys, if Anthony, if you can, just move so you're like kind of in between.
Yep.
The seats.
This area. Just for me, like
Yeah,
yourself.
so you're in between.
Yeah.
Physically, you're in between those.
Just
You're
for the
still
camera.
putting your cards down there. And same with you, sir. I'll get you to sit in between those, and you'll be putting your cards here.
And just the purples to the front, sorry.
Yeah.
Front. Thank you.
Like, man.
Thank you, man. You too.
Might as well clean out.
And I'm joined by my fishy friend Amin. It's been a bit of a showers series for both of us so far, which is the key. So far, many days to go in this event, but this isn't about us. They're talking about doing a deal, but while they're sort of discussing this deal, Amin, how did today go, mate? Any any luck for you?
Not very much. So, hello everyone. I'm happy to be here and join Jackson to commentate the heads up match of the Genesis. No, I did catch the Genesis this tournament, but ended up busting I think 43rd and played the big bounty. And my one and only nemesis just got me busted off of that tournament. Cannot beat the man.
Who?
Dale.
Oh, Dale.
But yeah, tomorrow is a new day, and there's, as you said, there's still a long time to go to the end of the series. So we are hopeful that things will change. If not, that's just part of the game.
And then we can just quit poker forever.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it has been an unfortunate trip for me and you, which is a shame, but you are right. It's a long one to go, and there's still obviously the main event, the Centurion, the Jackstar, the 5K. There's so many events to keep going, as well as all the side events every day. So it's definitely something that we can look forward to, even though we are in the bin a little bit at the moment. But we have actually just got confirmation that they have made a deal. So they have, from what I've been told, taken $10,000 from first and added it to second prize. So as it's now rolling across the screen. So first prize is now $72,340 and second place is $60,835. So 2 stacks and 2 prizes now that have been a bit more fairly distributed, I think. There's a lot of variance, as we both know and all of us know in poker, and I think flattening the payouts is just a little bit more friendly, and I mean, just in terms of bankroll management and just like variance, a bit of a better way to go about it. So these two, I think, have made a smart decision there. What's your takes, Amin, on deals, out of curiosity? Obviously, in a lot of tournament series, the gap between first and second and first and third is quite significant, obviously being a tournament. But are you opposed to making deals? Let's pretend that you think you're a similar skill level to your opponent. Is that something that you look at doing?
Yeah, as you said, to me, the first factor would come down to like how much edge I would have against someone, or if I have any. If I've got a significant range, like a significant edge, I wouldn't accept the deal. But if I feel like we are in the same skill set, depending what the offer is and how much, like what sort of ICM comes into the play, I might accept it.
It makes sense. I think as there is an all-in call, but they both have the same hand. I think they were both pretty excited. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think there are situations where it's definitely good to. I think there's situations where it's not good to. Like, I mean, as Chris mentioned when he was introing you, you played in one of the weirdest tournaments I've ever seen. You were heads up for the main event to win, I think it was over 700k, and your opponent is jamming all in without looking at his cards. So against someone like that, maybe the best course of action is to not do a deal because they are literally playing blind. But if you think someone is sort of comparable to your level, then or if they're just looking at their hand, then maybe we can think about making a deal. But yeah.
Yes. I very much so like high key. He was actually a gem to be around. He was so funny. He was so like he made the table to come alive. But he did admit it that he hadn't been playing much of a poker.
I heard it was his like second ever tournament or something. Just
It wouldn't. No,
absurd.
he said that he had been playing for like 3 or 4 months.
It's just
But
insane, isn't it?
not sure if it was actually true about him
No.
being on his second tournament.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he got down to like 20-ish big blinds, sub 20 big blinds, and he did seem to think that like when he was in the small blind, jamming blind would work, so just to flip it, and then he would bounce back to the
You know
the
what?
stack that he was.
And I'm not even joking when I say this. I think if you're so new to poker where you've played 2 times or less than 5 times ever and you're versing what people think is an extremely good player, it actually might be a good course of action to just go all in blind, because if you think that they're going to just destroy you heads up with, being able to read your tendencies and body language, it actually may just be better to try to get lucky. I'm not even joking when I say that.
Yeah, it's understandable because we did actually start the heads up match with him having like around 10 mil over me, which was like, I think more than, I would say, I think it was about like 20 big blinds, if I'm not mistaken. He had over my stack. But yeah, it got down to the point that he realized he had lost like 2/3 of his stack. And then he started implementing that strategy, which I think for him, it was a smart decision. He just wanted to bounce back to like a healthier stack.
Yeah, and I think let's pretend I was playing PLO, obviously pretending that I could bet more than pot, and I'm playing someone who's extremely good at PLO. I personally would probably do the same because I just got no idea what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
it definitely makes sense. I just think it's quite funny when you're playing for like $700,000 to just like go all in blind.
Yeah,
but
it
sounds
was,
absurd, but
for me it wasn't, because it was like quite a stressful time. But
I can actually imagine that. Obviously, it's a dream spot, but also it's
Yeah.
like, well, I have to call off like what? What was he jamming? 20 bigs, like king 7 suited. It's like a snap call, right? Or do
Yeah.
you just wait for a better spot because he's all in every hand?
I mean, I did contemplate one king 8 offsuit, but I wasn't exactly sure if he was actually jamming up like blind.
But then
But
you got that
once I made
confirmation.
sure, then I had to go with my ace 10 off. Like it was a very, very obvious decision for me to take.
And that was the winning hand.
Yes,
What did he have?
I think he had 6/8 off.
It's fair fight.
Yeah. Yes. All right. If you want to jump back to this hand.
Yeah, enough about you and your rich trophy. We do see Samio with the ace 10 offsuit on an ace high board. Obviously quite a pretty hand, as we do see Anthony defend with the queen, which is very standard heads up. As we all know, when 2 players are heads up, the ranges are going to be quite a fair bit wider, so a bit more bluffing, a lot more equity denial. And Sammy does jam this, so he's jammed 12 mil into 14 mil. And he's really representing strong ace-X here, a flush. I don't really think he opens any 2s from the button, but Anthony really needs to look into his opponent, and they've been playing together for 4 hours or something along those lines. And does my opponent bluff enough? You've been in this position more than me. I mean, I'm sure it's very tempting to call and be right, and you win the tournament right there and then. But this one feels, I've been watching for a couple hours now, and I don't really think I've seen a single bluff all day.
Cool.
Yeah, I
Just
mean,
call.
he called. Okay. That's the first thing when you're trying to bluff catch someone for an all-in amount, which in this case was like almost SPR1. It was less. It was like 0.9 SPR. Obviously, heads up match, the frequency of bluffs are more, the range of the hands are wider. But he has to, like, for Anthony, he has to believe that someone like Sammy is capable of like turning a king, like King X with King of Heart, or like even like Jack X with Jack of Heart into a bluff, like some sort of like Jack 10, Jack of Heart, or King 10 or King 9, King of Heart into a bluff for pot size bet in the river. And that gives you more reason to call. Otherwise, like the deuce is not exactly a great card for your range. It's not bad either, but just like you're not bidding much, so you're just bidding pure bluff.
It's just another combo you lose to. Just if you had like some random 2x, not that he should, but it's just another thing you lose to. I definitely agree. Like, and from what I've been sort of watching, I don't think anyone's really bluffed at all. Like, I could be wrong. For those in the comment section that are still watching, there's like 200-300 of you guys. So if you've seen any of these guys actually bluff, like since the final table, like I can't really remember like any big bluffs or anything like that post flop. So yeah, I might have let that one go, but I can imagine that there's this element of the guy goes all in, you've got a bluff catcher, and you're right, and you win by calling a sick call, and then you take the trophy home. And that's probably what's going through your head, is it can be over right now.
Yeah.
But do we really believe this guy's capable of doing it? With, like, we have to reverse it. If he bluffs it off and loses, he's out of the tournament, and he loses like 30, well, it's only like 10K now, but it's very different. So yeah, I don't know. Obviously he could have some bluffs there, but is he over bluffing? Is he under bluffing? I think that's what you need to work out over the last few hours.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very big factor. Also at Ulva, I'm guessing, in the YouTube chat. Thank you so much.
I think that's Krillian. I think he's trolling you.
Oh, he is?
I could be wrong, but I'm going to assume that's Krillian. I'm going to assume that's a troll.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But yeah, we're getting a lot of comments in the comment section saying that they haven't seen a single bluff yet, which I actually genuinely don't think I've seen a bluff for. It's been about 4 hours, so
that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's just
and
been
also boring for the viewers.
Yeah,
it's just like
Anthony. I actually think Anthony's played quite well. He actually is the one. He ran like an A7 off bluff. Actually, I think that may be the only bluff, but yeah. Besides that, I really don't think there's been anything. But a lot of times they've just had it, to be honest, or they're just c-betting range or something like that. So it's been pretty standard poker, I would say. But like, as we know, like maybe not me and you, because we can't seem to win a hand this series yet. But sometimes just like standard poker is the best way to go. Like you open, you hit a pair, you bet, they fold, and like that's how you take it down, right?
It does matter how often you connect with the board, and like how often like you're VPing into the game and you're actually can take down the pot. It seems like Anthony has bounced back to 24 bigs, which is still a very healthy stack in heads up.
Well, one all in, and he's back to chip lead by a significant margin. So they really, like, we've all been there. It can swing so quickly. 2 hands, and you go from the short stack to holding the trophy.
Yeah.
But just in terms of strategy with heads up, obviously there's a full big blind ante in the middle. Are you more so at this stack depth wanting to limp range, or you have opens, or you do a bit of both?
For me, like, it will firstly be depending on who am I versing with.
So you think if they're one to, like, let's say you open, they're folding like 8-5 off. Now you're pretty much just opening any hand you're playing. But if they're calling range, like they're not even folding like 8-3 off, now you're just limping.
Again, it depends, because like if I feel like my opponent doesn't have like 3-bet bluffs in range, like out of position, then I'm still opening.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's pretty hard to find 3-bet bluffs that aren't all in when you're only like 20 or 25 effective. You know what I mean? Like,
But still, it can be done. Like you can always like 3.5 eggs
And then just fold to a jam, yeah.
fold to a jam.
And
like
you-
off of even off of 24 bigs, like off of 22, even off of 22.
Are you usually using like offsuit ace X for that range, or
Yeah, offsuit ace X, even offsuit king X as well. You want to try it with. Like, it just depends how like what frequency your opponent just like limping or opening.
well, this one, just before you say anything, this one could be an all-in call. I mean, did Anthony open or did he limp? Either way, pretty sick spot. I feel like in theory this is a pretty clear call, but against real-world opponents, do we?
I think it's really close. But
It's really
just-
close,
they
yeah.
They just made the call.
You need to you need to know that your opponent's jamming like Queen Jack suited, which he probably
But
is.
then again,
King 10 suited.
because there is no way this guy is like 3-bit bluffing. Then King Jack, even the suited combo is not making like
As
a lot
much,
of money
yeah.
for you. It's not the great EV here.
Well, he does need to catch up, or else we're going to see a champion, and that is a sweaty flop. So any queen, club's good. King or Jack, obviously, not a great turn, and we will need to find a picture card, or else
yeah.
it is GG. And we do find the 7 of clubs. So unfortunately, we are going to lose.
That was a relatively quick hit.
It was, yeah. I mean, it's 20 bigs. It can go very slow. It can go very quickly. And we do find a champion in Sammy. And I think well played from both. I was very impressed with both of their play. I think Sammy was pretty wide and pretty loose, but he worked out, hit some flops, and gained a very nice chip stack, and that's propelled him to victory. So that's going to be it, yeah.
Good on them both.
Yeah,
honestly.
well
Like,
done. I mean-
surviving through 1,300 people is just like not an easy task. It takes tremendous amount of like discipline and patience, and also like all the decision makings that they must have made and gone through. Congrats to Sammy, obviously, but it doesn't take anything away from Anthony. Yeah.
Beautiful. That's going to be it from us, guys. So thanks for that. And we'll be back. I think tomorrow there's a plethora of tournaments to play, including the Survivor Bounty Day 2 and the Monster Free. So we'll see you then, guys. Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys.